Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Contact Lost. I'm Joker, and my guest today is Patryk. Hi, Patryk.
Hello.
Glad to have you on here again. Patryk's been a guest many times already, although I think we haven't had you here for quite a while. Am I right?
Yeah, you're not inviting me that often.
Whoops.
For some reason, I don't know why.
You're breaking up a bit, but let's ignore that. And without any further ado, today we will talk about what's up with the Polish national team, what's up with Gene Steer Coats, and about a certain event in the United Kingdom called the International Team Tournament. Although there aren't many international teams there, to be honest, are there?
Yeah. Uh, okay, so shall we start with the national team and what's happening currently? Uh,
Um, Yeah, I guess we can. Uh, yeah, why not? This coming weekend, February 25th, 26th, in Northampton, there's the International Team Tournament. 310 attendees who divide themselves into 62 teams, if my maths is correct. I think that's an improvement of about 60 people from last year. So it's good to see that team plays generally getting more and more interest. We like that here in Poland. And also this year we have delegates from our Slavic country who want to compete for the win. Isn't that right?
yeah, of course, we always try. Yeah, we are we are coming there, and we are coming there for, I believe, for the first time. To this UKTC team tournament. So it will be quite a new experience for us because, as we all know, we are playing somehow different standard. So in our community, we usually focus on WTC terrains and standard, and now the tournament is entirely on UKTC terrain and UKTC rules. So there are
Hmm.
minor differences, but this in the rules themselves. So, but they impact the gameplay and how do you approach to the game itself. Terrain maps are different, and what's interesting also that all of the five terrain tables for the match will be the same. So we'll have the same map for every of the five pairings. It's interesting
Okay.
because
Mhm.
now we don't have the table choice doesn't matter. Uh, of course, you can pick the edge table to have a more convenient play. Uh, yeah, I'm not joking. I will need it for my army. I like to go around the table. I don't know what will happen if we will have the table that you can go around, or they will
No,
be in
I mean,
line.
I laughed, but I
So
totally agree. And regardless of the army I would take, I would love to have the edge table just to have a bit more breathing space.
yeah, come on, come on! I'm bringing over 100 models there, so it's and yeah, but basically the table choice doesn't matter. So you don't build an army to have a table choice. You can predict and calculate what's and take the table exact table into the account for the estimations and
Hmm.
your approach for the preparation. So it's I wouldn't say it is better or not. I like to have variety in that, but it will be for sure for me. It will be something new and interesting. So I'm happy to come there, and we'll see how it works in practice. Especially with the different maps and different terrain standard, because they allow for some other game
Hmm.
uh, gameplay tricks and plans
Yeah, so
to
speaking
use.
of terrain,
Yeah.
like you said, it's definitely different, and I think there are two ways to look at it because you need to factor the terrain and the fact that all the tables are the same during list building, but then I guess you can do estimations a bit more reliably, and it's not like they can flip on you're not getting the preferred table.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also,
Hmm.
what's the other thing about the scoring system there? There actually it is very hard to achieve a draw because the only draw that is 50 to 50 points. There are
Hmm.
no brackets where we get a win or draw. There's just if you win by 1 point, then just you win it, and that's all. Uh,
Is that like in terms of the team score or in terms of, I guess in terms of individual score as well, right?
it's about the team score. So the final team
Hmm.
score, you need 51 points for a win. So basically, as we thought how we should approach it, I would say that we value the stability of the army because in this kind of a system, you really can't afford to lose 0-20, for example. There's still 0-20 in the scoring system, but you need to have just 51 as a team. But every big lose here will affect the score very much. Uh,
Hmm.
so we'll see. We'll see. It's something new. I like something new, testing something new. So yeah,
So,
as
sorry,
yeah.
just so I get that right. So the team score is, or more like, let's rewind. Uh, Individual games are in the differential scoring, the 20-0, and then that sums up to the team score? Or is it just win, draw, lose?
It's the individual is the differential, and
Uh-huh.
then win, draw,
And
lose on the team
mhm.
level.
Okay, so differential for individual games, you get 51 points, and it just turns into a win, and you don't care about anything else until there's the need for the tiebreaker. Okay, okay, that's interesting. I guess no room for draws is it could prove a bit harsh if you're on the losing side, but then definitely a good thing. Probably not looking back at it if you win. So we've covered terrain, but and just for our listeners who might not be aware, I mean, you can easily access these maps on both the UKTC site and the WTC site. But I think mainly the ruins are a little bit different, and the way they're set up is also a little bit different. But it's hard to dive deep into that without visuals, so we're not going to do that here. But in terms of rules or rule clarifications, are there any notable differences between the UKTC FAQ and the WTC one?
I think that there are two major approaches for differences here. The first is basically WTC uses some of rules as intended,
Hmm.
rules interpretations, and UKTC uses only rules as written interpretation. So there are some differences when you. I don't have the exact um, uh, example in mind right now, but there are minor differences in how you do use specific rules in both of them. And the major impact is also having the charge rule. In WTC, when you are blocked by the ruin, you can
Hmm.
still charge, for example, with infantry, with something with reachable. Uh,
Hmm. Hmm.
mm, you can charge and you just virtually put the models inside ruins wall.
Mm-hmm.
This is not happening here, and you can block your charges by placing the models, for example, yeah, 1 inch from the wall, taking into account the wall size and
Mm-hmm.
all stuff. You can block models from actually reaching you. So you have to actually charge on the
So you have
side
to
of the ruins.
physically fit in through the
Yeah, you
wall
need to
if you want to.
physically fit
Mm-hmm.
in. You need to do that. So on one hand, the maps are usually they're not open tables that much. They have some big ruins especially on the deployment zone, but they tend to have open middle board. Um, so it's quite if you block your charges, for example, in one of the front ruins, then it's can be tricky for combat armies to get around and or risky.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. Don't know the exact deployment tables by heart right now, but my my major my impression from that table setup is that they're different than what we have on WTC. Different because they favor other armies.
Mm-hmm.
They've actually combat armies have some play there due to having the forward ruins that you can treat as a base of operation and just deploy, move your combat units from them and reach objectives. And also they are open in the middle, so the shooting armies also got some play. Uh, we'll see. I'll have some more feedback probably after the event
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, I only managed to play a couple of games on the UKTC terrains in the preparation process. But so we can
So
talk
it's
after that, after the event, to discuss the exact
yeah, happy to.
feedback.
And I hear that that's a message that you want to be invited again shortly. So we'll see
I,
what we can do about that.
I always
Um,
like to talk about 40k.
yeah, and
So
it's always a good listen. Anyway, I've lost my train of thought here. So, but I guess that fast shooty armies are equally good on these tables that they are on WTC.
yeah, I think so.
Okay, and what about that? Yeah, that charge blocking you've mentioned. Was it hard to like transition from playing the WTC rule set where it's non-existent and then it's just like another layer of potential positioning that you need to account for?
I don't. Uh, I don't think that it was hard to move from
Because
one to another. At least for me, I played
hmm
the invitational on this rule set. I
hmm
mean, at LGT. Uh, so, and I saw also how the games were played on this kind of the tables. So for me personally, it was quite easy to adapt and just another layer of game state analysis. uh, but let's see. Uh,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I'm only asking that because I can easily see myself forgetting that and like positioning myself to charge. Okay, I'm in on a 4. No, mate, you need a 10 because you have to go around, and the unit just staying in the open and gets fucked.
So also as part of the preparation process, I just keep it this in mind, and every time I read some rules, and nowadays I just get a small reminder card you cannot charge us in WTC. So I will remember that. So,
Yeah, I guess
at
that
least I hope so. But also,
yeah,
I'm not taking this close combat army. So
that might make it easier as well. Speaking of which, then, I guess I can now ask you who is coming and what are you taking. Before you answer that, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but there are 4 out of 5 people that are representing Team Poland at this event are the last year's WTC attendees, and you've got one debutante.
yeah, the one who actually won last year's our Polish league. So
Quite a feat, to be honest, and I
yeah.
think a bit of an underdog because I don't think anyone would have bet on Victor at the beginning of last year. So congratulations to him. And I'm not interrupting you anymore. Please go on about the team comp.
Okay, so let's start. Maybe I'll start with Victor because he's playing Harlequins at this event. He has been playing Harlequins for some time. We decided to take them. We still believe that after the nerf. With the invulnerable save, you can still play this army because you got two new, let's let's call it new tools like Mirror of Mine, Mirror Architect, and Harvester DJ. So two things that were previously nerfed are back in the codex,
Mhm,
and they're very good tools to have, especially in the quite in this terrain setup when you sometimes need another place to hide your bolts, and you hide them by having by applying -6 to range to the opponent
mhm,
on some matchups. Also, they have a huge mobility, and also in this kind of tables, you can reach ruins, open ruins with windows from outside, and actually shoot inside. So
Is that because they have this little like base that's in
yeah,
front of them? Ah, okay.
yeah.
Hmm.
So this is you can't hide from Harlequins. That matters, especially on the pairings, like for example orcs or even something like Necrons. That basically everything that has that Harlequins got a good profiles for. So we'll see. We have been testing Harlequins recently. They are not that good army like they used to be.
Hmm.
Uh, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm pretty convinced that Victor will manage and surprise his opponents. So I think that it's pretty much strong pick for this tournament.
Okay.
So the next one,
Hmm.
Necrons. So we are bringing Gito and his Necrons. Basically, the Necrons that are suited for this tables and for current metagame. I still believe that there's always a build that you can that can make Necrons a stable scoring army. They still have a good secondaries, and they can play for the points. They don't need to be to play aggressive to achieve big wins, and the stability is something we want to have here in this tournament. So
Hmm.
this is basically the reasoning for picking that.
So there's
Uh,
still a solid defender like list.
Yeah, it's something like a defender-like list, but here we don't pick tables, so we'll probably have something, some other approach. We'll see.
Hmm.
Um, but I think that this is still a stable army to pick, and also the Necrons appear on top teams, like well, for example, Team England. But we'll also get to this topic later.
Yep. Okay. Who's next then?
I got Astra Militar on the list, or better, Imperial Guard. Uh,
For the true die-hard Warhammer fans, it's Imperial
Uh,
Guard.
come on, it's still my first army. Uh, the first idea was that I would play this army, but then we made a change.
Hmm.
So basically, there's, in my opinion, Imperial Guard is like a top one army right now in terms of the raw power level on the table.
Okay.
You basically you have an answer for everything. Due to the new order system, you got very good data sheets like lemongrasses, casarkins, mortars. So you really have solution for everything. You don't have close combat units, but that doesn't matter because you just shoot, move, shoot, block deep strikes, shoot over the walls with mortars, deep strike castle just do tremendous amount of mortal wounds somewhere. Because the thing is that the Imperial Guard FAQ didn't arrive up to now, so we are playing with the roll
Hmm.
wording, so no mortal wound caps or any changes to Castlekin's stratagem. So
Yuck.
basically, you just deploy one unit, split fire into 3 units, and make like 15 to 18 mortal wounds. So, uh,
Great. Fun and
I,
interactive gameplay.
yeah, I did that once killed 3 Sagittars with 1 unit of deep striking Castlekins. So in one shooting phase, so it was like, uh, yeah, and it was exactly what I told to my opponent. So it's in the end, it's a fun and interactive gameplay. So uh,
No comment on that.
yeah, I really hope that
That
they will
just
be
sounds horrific.
officially. I really think that they should be officially nerfed as soon as possible. Also, including mortars. I love this army. I would like to play Imperial Guard, but in the current state, it's just stupid in my opinion. So,
Hmm.
uh,
And that
like,
FAQ is long due, right? I mean, the codex has been out for quite a while now, even
uh,
outside of the box set.
yeah, I think officially it was released in January. So yeah, we'll see.
Around a month.
I think that every major tournament that is using WTC scoring right now, including the on the TTS one, are using the hotfix for and capping the mortal wound output of Kasserkins. So,
Hmm. But not here, not in
but not here.
Northampton.
Here we play rules unwritten, but we'll have to manage somehow with that.
Okay, well, Vishna's gonna have fun dealing
Yeah,
all those mortal
for
wounds.
sure, for sure. Yeah,
Okay.
I just looking forward to seeing this some Imperial Guard mirrors. So because
Yes,
of course they
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 get what they
they do
deserve.
they also have some interactive secondaries. So like
Interactive air quotation applied. I understand.
yeah. So basically, they can come to the table with one of their secondaries filled in and already put 15 on that. So
Nice. Nice.
oh,
That's what you like
okay.
to see. Yes,
Uh,
enough ranting about guard, I guess. That leaves you and Pumba, I believe, to cover. Still to cover.
yeah. So Pumba, we decided to have actually include Space Marines in our setup. Usually, Team Poland, just, for some reason, don't doesn't take Space Marines into their composition, but now in the current meta game, Space Marines seems to be back on the menu uh, in different flavors. We play tested quite a lot of options here, but in the end, we decided to go with the Raven Wing. I'll just leave reasoning that stands behind it, maybe for later podcast after the tournament. But
Okay.
the list looks like the standard set of characters. So two Ravenwing Talon Masters,
Hmm.
Chaplain on the back, and Azrael. Also Infiltrator squads and two bricks of Ravenwing Black Knights, supported by Apothecary, two squads of attack bikes, two Landspeeder Vengeance, and two Landspeeder Tornadoes. So full Ravenwing list
Hmm.
that got a lot of mobility, a lot of shooting, and some toolkit to solve problems.
Okay. So, tyrant warriors, but faster and with shooting.
Uh,
Although no
yeah.
transhuman.
So basically, the surprising thing here might be that we took zero Terminators, and the reasoning behind it, that stands behind it, is that basically, uh, my opinion is that Terminators are boring to play, and Pumbaa used to play 36 Warriors at WTC. So we just we are too kind, and we didn't want to tell him that, hey, play 44 Terminators now. Uh, that would be a very bad label to be called specialist of boring armies. So
And
uh,
I'm sure Pumbaa wouldn't want to be called that. I mean, he's always psyched about any tech that he might have in lists or have figured out, and then playing just trying to roll 2 ups, 4 ups, or whatever you need. Probably not
oh,
his shtick.
yeah, he's not good into 4 ups. But
Oh
now
yes, that too.
he has some mobility to actually hide, so maybe he won't have to roll that many 4 ups. But we'll see.
His only weakness might have been countered.
Yeah,
And what
his
about
only
you?
weakness is that's his rolling under average every game. So,
So what about you? What are you taking?
okay, so I'm back on GSC here, and I'm very happy about it because now I have a reason to paint my army, which I had since like 3 years right now, or maybe 4.
Mhm.
Um, all standing on the shelf and gathering some
Gathering
dust.
dust.
Yeah, and so uh, GSC appears to have a big benefit from recent changes in the roles. First of all, we got a new detachment that suits GSC very well. Like GSC always depended on having a lot of troops for different utilities. So now I can fit as many as I want, basically. Also, there were quite uh, maybe not a significant update in the points, but for example, now the special weapons on the Neophyte squad or on bikes are free for now. So I can in every squad of Neophytes I can fit, for example, flamers or grenade launchers on the bikes. Uh, it makes a difference. The only thing that was nerfed were bikes themselves. They went up in points by three to a total of 15 per model, but
Hmm.
now they include a combat weapon for free. So uh, it costed 3 points then, and now you basically you have to take them. But
So, sorry to interrupt you there, but in total, they've gone 2 points up then.
in total, they are 3 points up. But because you didn't take the close combat weapons before, now you
Hmm.
have to
Oh,
take
okay.
them. But they were nerfed by points, but upgraded in terms of firepower and utility.
Hmm.
So I think that now they're priced okay. Uh, they're still quite cheap for what they do, but mm, I believe it's a very good datasheet right now. Also, I like to have this kind of mm, uh, a different a variety of different options how to use them. Uh, okay, so my list maybe. Mm, Uh, it's not my idea. I stole that, of course. But three big units of bikes, so 3 times 10, including quads and special weapons here. A couple of demolition charges. Then I got four big blobs of Neophyte hybrids. I got three upgraded ones. So one with the perfect ambush, which just calls the unit that is counted as having crossfire and exposed. Then I got the from every angle squad, which is quite interesting because you can uh, put them in the reserves before the first turn and deploy them from the reserves turn one. So I have something that's coming out of the reserves turn one, and also have the additional marker on the board because in the rule set in the WTC rules there's a FAQ that you need to when you decide to put this unit into reserves, you need to remove one of the ambush markers, which is quite in contrast of what rules as written says.
Hmm.
So this is one difference that's a different approach in this tournament than in WTC. But it results in me having an additional marker and some options to play this squad.
Hmm.
I can start them on the table, for example, securing characters or doing some stuff turn one. And then I got a 3-inch deep strike squad. It's quite standard and just one squad with no updates. All of them have four flamers and four seismic cannons as standard. Also now they're equipped with the icon, so they resurrect themselves. Also, they resurrect from the character, so they can summon the code twice in a row, giving a lot of options on the table. I got also a set of characters, so Primus, so Nexus, it's a standard combo, Acolyte, Icon Ward, Sanctus, and Calamorph to two snipers that produce some tokens, so just capabilities to do some uh, more tricks, and just 3 units of acolytes for doing actions, missions, and other stuff. basically this list is built to be some kind of control list. This is not
Mm,
something that is just uh, having that have a huge firepower. It have a huge firepower, but you need to you can defend from it by properly screening. There are a lot of quicks in the list, a lot of different plays. Oh, I forgot. I still have 10 Gene Stealer in the list because it's
mm,
quite, for in my opinion, it's just a must-have in every GST list right now. So the unit that can move when you deploy ambush marker, you move them, then move, then advance, then charge. So 22 inches, then charge, easy. Uh, Easy 2 or 4 points from from the ambush. So
mm-hmm. And a massive
uh,
threat
uh,
range.
yeah, a massive threat range, and uh, it just forces the opponent to either deploy in the front with 2 layers of screen and risking getting alpha strike on them, or deploying in the back, which gives, if I start the game, I can just try to block them in their deployment zone and basically for entire 5 turns.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so still, we have here some fun and interactive secondaries. As always, like Brute Swarm, which is in this kind of list, is mm, but usually 15 points. There's an ambush that just you score 5 per turn if there's a right target, and you got retrieve battlefield data, which is also easy with this kind of army.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, this is something that should be very good into Gunley's army, because um, we expected that a lot of players will bring gun lines, like Tau, like Voltan, like Guard, like Iron Hands, which are basically against GSC. They lose the first turn if they go first, because
Mm-hmm.
you
They're not
deploy.
shooting anything of value.
Yeah, if they deploy in blips, so in ambush tokens, you can rearrange ambush tokens. You can do some stuff to reduce the firepower, and they then have some kind of tricks to generate points to some stuff. And if you go first, actually, you can easily, for example, you can screen the guard to in there and block them in the deployment zone, and try to score the points before they kill you, because you don't have means to anything with mortars on these tables, because usually there's a big ruin in the corner of the deployment zone, and you can hide mortars on the floors, and they're
Mm-hmm.
pretty much safe. Mm, but you can outscore guard if if you do your if they if you do your move block in a good way. And also, if they make a small mistake, you can take advantage of that and try to go for bigger for win, or even a bigger win if they just mess up with the screening. Uh, so I find this army very interesting and very powerful in the current metagame. One thing that was very challenging for this kind of an army was Armor of Contempt, because AP -2, AP -1 on majority of weapons was easily blocked, even by something like Sisters.
Mm-hmm.
You just have a high save and just and then kill GSC stuff. But now when Armor of Contempt is gone, you can play around it. You can you can have do some more damage than before. Uh,
Hmm. But were Armor of Contempt armies really that much of a bully for Gene Stealer cults? Because I don't think Armor of Contempt armies were that popular in Poland, and neither were Gene Stealer cults, to be honest. I still think it's a very rare faction
it's
to be encountered on tournaments, at least here.
yeah, it's quite uh, basically the first thing is a very unique army, and it's very different than any other army that you play in this game. So you have ambush tokens, you got crossfire tokens, exposed, a lot of deep strikes, a lot of micromanaging stuff. It's not army for everyone. It's very hard to operate with that. Also, it's one of the most expensive armies to collect, because
Hmm.
like having all of the bikes, neophytes, and acolytes. Boxes of them are come with 5 models for acolytes and bikes, and 10 for neophytes. So it just uh, it's very very expensive, and very very frustrating to paint them, because you need to paint like 100 of models. Of course there are other builds in GSC that are also good to play right now. There are but all of them got something that's expensive in them, so it's really hard to collect, in my opinion.
Hmm.
And that's
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a valid reason why it's unpopular, especially around here. And yeah, it's an army that really requires quite a bit from the driver, so to speak, and has a unique playstyle, like you say. So yeah, not for everyone. But do you think it really is one of the strongest picks in the meta right now?
yeah,
Because that's
I
what
think
the
so.
stats seem to prove.
I agree with the stats. Usually I often I have different opinions about the power level of some factions, but now I totally agree with the Gene Stealer position. Uh, Also, but all depends on the player skill here, because
Hmm.
G-Stealers are very hard to operate. One error on G-Stealer side can lose the game. One error mistake on the screening process for the opponent can screw the game for the opponent. So it's very hard to actually estimate this army, because so much depends on the opponent's skill, and how much they are aware, and how much do they remember about Gene Stealer rules. And even for me as a Gene Stealer player, it's very hard to remember to remind my opponent of everything.
Hmm.
So it's like because when we play by intent, I always try to remember or remind my opponent about my specific roles. So, for example, I just remember that I got 6-inch deep strike, 3-inch deep strike. I can fall back shoot with bikes. I can fire and fade bikes. I can move Gene Stealers, and I can just tell these tricks for 5 minutes, and opponent will not remember the first one,
Yeah,
and
just be
I too
overwhelmed.
won't will not remember. I got also some other tricks that I decided to change from the standard approach. But for example, I took the different buffs to Alien Fury instead of Cold Eye Killers. So it's instead of having additional AP on close combat, I got extra piling and consolidation move. So there are quite. It, it's an army that is very interesting to play. Um, I just call. I just every time I play it, I warn my opponent. Just My first turn will be very quick. My deployment will be very quick. But sorry for the second and third turn. I'll have to do my neophyte puzzles there. So, and when I deploy my squad, it's like building a puzzle on the board with different things. It's very fun to do. At least for me, I don't think my opponents like it, but uh, I, I just I play Gene cards a lot. Maybe not when in Team Poland before I reached Team Poland. I played a lot of GSC, and I always liked this army. So I'm very happy to have it back in my hands.
Okay, good for you. And yeah, with that many different units, the amount of units, and the fact that you can upgrade almost every unit to do something, like yeah, the 3-inch deep strike, the others do 6-inch and whatnot. It just at some point sounds as if you're just making those rules up as you go, just because of the sheer
Yeah.
amount of them.
Yeah,
Um,
and I will pick my codex and the rules in written form. So just
yeah, yeah,
I
might be
just need to
useful.
make some marks where this stuff is.
So you post-it notes on every page, though, essentially. Um, so what about the team composition? Are you happy with it? Do you think it's like the optimal, the top 5 armies? I mean,
Uh,
Guard and Gene Steer Scouts and Space Marines sounds
I would,
solid.
I
But
would,
Harleys and Necrons,
uh,
I would assume are maybe not the most popular picks.
I would say that GSC, Space Marines of some flavor, and Imperial Guard are the top three picks here, and the other two are dependent on what would you like to achieve. We took armies that we know. I'm not convinced that this is an optimal build, but it's very hard for us to actually build optimal team composition because we didn't play on UKTC standard a lot. Uh, we knew that these three picks are must have, and then just took something that, in our opinion, will be stable in their scoring. I still think that Kali's got some play, especially against some slow armies and also gun lines. They're not that good that they used to be, but
Mhm.
still they have some uses. They have some tricks. They have so they have also good secondaries. Uh, so it's very interesting for us to get some feedback about how these armies perform on the tables, and we'll see. What we can achieve with that.
Mhm. Well, I mean, yeah, like you said, they've still got solid secondary game, so they should be good. All right, I think we've covered quite a bit on Team Poland themselves. Who do you think are your, maybe not necessarily, let's rephrase that. Who do you think are, apart from you guys, the contenders for the win? Uh, okay, that sounded a bit cocky still, that you're also the contenders, but you're probably going in with that mindset. You're fighting for the win. So yeah, I'm blabbing on. Your top 3 enemy teams.
Yeah, so I think Dice Down team here is very interesting. As we know, the players are very known, and there will be this will be a tough challenge for us. I think Team Netherlands got a quite nice setup, and yeah, Team England.
Okay, so let's start with Team England then. What have they got in
Uh,
their team, and what do you think of the setup?
uh, Let me just scroll because
Yep,
BCPA is
because
something. It's very user friendly app. So
hmm and I've got no subscription, so it's just Patryk trying to find those lists and tell us about them. So yeah, please have patience with us, guys.
I got it. So first of all, they have an interesting setup. We didn't expect that they will pick such an armies. So Chaos Demons, Necrons, Custodes, Dark Angels, and Fulton. Starting with Chaos Demons here.
Oh yes,
So
tell me what Chaos Demons play nowadays.
it's a mono Singe army. Like Demon
Ah,
Prince, Fate Schemer, Lord of Change, Flamers, Exalted Flamers, Screamers, and Burning Chariots. So something that's basically built to counter gun lanes. Um, it's I'm not too familiar, to be honest, I'm not too familiar with demons because there are a lot of builds with demons, and we play tested some of them, and it's very hard to achieve to estimate the raw power of demons because they major impact in the team tournaments is. mm in the pairings process when you
mm-hmm.
because you can build demons to counter close combat armies, so you can build demons to counter gun lanes, but it's very hard to build a take all comers list. So here we got something that counters Singe counters gun lanes with their
With the free up.
free up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure it counters gun lanes which have a full a lot of small arms shooting, but we'll see. Uh, so I'm not sure if there's something else. It's pretty much standard, or like standard lot of change
Mm-hmm.
builds and the stuff that we know. So flamers,
Yep.
screamers, and other things here. Um, yeah. So the next one is a Necrons list. So it seems that they stole some ideas from us. Uh, we got a nice site here. Destroyers, look, a big brick of destroyers, two squads of three heavy destroyers, so a counter to some vehicles. Uh, Three squads of Ophidians, three squads of Scorpex, including one big squad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a Hexmark destroyer, which is for interesting tech because it's meant to counter, for example, Kasserkin's teleportation or also Gene Steel cults coming from the reserves.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
A little bit
and
of tech,
some
loving that.
yeah there's also an the Traveler there, and Technomancers, some minor stuff like that, Doom Blades, uh, and yeah, Plasma Sights. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so,
So and
so
I assume they're running OPSEC
it's Nihilat,
or
so
so
I believe it's
OPSEC
a yeah OPSEC one, but yeah,
with something with some other flavor. That's not a pre-game move, but yeah.
So no pregame move anymore, but actually you don't need pregame move on this tables, I believe. Uh, but OPSEC is still the most important thing here because they are not playing any troops. They're playing MSU style, like Ophidians, Corpex,
Mm-hmm.
Destroyers, Doomblades. They all got OPSEC, good secondaries. Basically a stable army to score. So
Yep.
uh, also, the detachment rules are quite good for Necrons because they can spam fast attacks and just play with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So another stolen list. So custodies, wardens.
Ah, yes.
Yeah,
Liam's
yeah,
list.
yeah. Like also, I don't think that there are some changes here, but pretty much two blobs of custodian wardens with some support.
So not only
Uh,
stolen, but also destroyed
yeah, broken.
or worsened.
Yeah, or maybe it's better. I don't know. We'll
We'll
see.
see. We'll find
Uh,
out.
yeah. It's very interesting thing here because this kind of a list is very table dependent, and I'm looking forward to seeing this list in action on UKTC tables. Because in Australia, the table setup was very good for wardens. Here, I don't know it. I'll have to take care and see how they
Hmm.
play and what's good and weak points of this army.
Yep, definitely will be interesting to see. The Votan, or have you
Uh,
got the other thing?
yeah,
The other.
Votan I can do Votan next. So
Okay.
it's really poorly formatted. Okay, but basically very interesting list. Just it uses three datasheets. Three
Hmm.
datasheets. No, four actually. Okay. So there's a Cal, there's a Iron Master, there's 3 times 6 pioneers,
And
and there
fortresses.
3 times 1 fortresses. So uh, basically, list that shoot very well, and usually with very good alpha strike, so you can just rush pioneers to the front, uh, kill something, and you get 3 fortresses which are very hard to remove from the table. um, so this kind, I I'm not convinced on Votan because it's a kind of an army that's not for me because it's slow and I mean I could play the bikes, but
Hmm.
the rest of the army is slow and there's so small amount of models on the table that one or two dice fuck ups just destroys the army, and there's nothing that you can actually do to try to recover from that. But that's my personal opinion. On these tables, it's a very scary army to play against because they put a lot of shooting on you. It's very hard to counter that. If if you go first and can do some move block, it's easier. But if you can't go first, it's very hard. Also, the problem is with that they all of them their units got the Auspex kind of stratagem, so they shoot into deep striking units.
Hmm.
So first carry army to play against, but we know their different weaknesses. We'll try to do what's possible to stop them.
So could just to break the train of thought here. Could Votan play into guard in that case, or is guard shooting just better and they'd outshoot the
Uh,
squads?
from what I was uh, saying from what I was playing. If the guard got the stratagem to no cap on mortal wounds, I managed to table Photon very easy.
Mm-hmm.
Because they get no defense against mortal wounds. You got the screening against the forward movement of the bikes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was all on the WTC tables when you can limit uh, some lanes of shooting. You can, and here I'm not sure if you can hide every tank in the deployment zone. We need to think about that. We'll need to check everything. Uh, I mean, when I was playtesting guard against Votan, I managed to table Votan and counter their tricks. I was not playing against this exact 18 plus 3 list,
Mm-hmm.
but I played against some variations, and so. But still, it's a kind of uh, a pairing which is very roll-off dependent. Because if you go first, you always want to go first into this kind of pairing. Just want to shoot first. Guard got some, on the other hand, got some tricks to play better if they go second because they can shoot after death. They got this Kasserkins. If Wotan plays infantry, you got mortars and can play with that. So it's it's just rolling dice at each other and who rolls better win, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And of course you can do to everything a lot of things that optimizes the luck, but in the end this is a dice rolling. You can try to kill a fortress with one tank, or a fortress can kill two tanks in one shooting. It can happen. It impacts the game. Uh, both
Okay.
sides got auto wounds, but guard has better because there's no condition for it. Uh, here and here also the list English Votan list plays with Emir, so there's a 5-up invul, no additional tokens.
Mm-hmm.
Like yeah, it's a great Turian league or something like that. Uh, so you need to generate token first to get auto wins. Guard got this as a basis. It's but in the end it's still shooting versus shooting, so it can go both ways. It's
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what else do they have in Team England?
there's also a very interesting list of Space Marines, like 30 Terminators and some Land
So
Speeders.
Dark Angels, I assume.
Yeah, Dark Angels.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, interesting because I find Terminators boring. I know they are good. They are very good, and this is highly optimized the army. Like having some Terminators, not spamming them to the limit, but having also some shooting support, like land speeders. Uh, it's a very good army. Probably one of the also this kind of a setup is kind of something that's more suitable for singles because they got responsive for for different kind of threats. For teams, I would say that I prefer options with 40 for Terminators, but I'm analyzing only. I was analyzing only WTC for that, so maybe here it's better to have this additional shooting, but I don't know.
Okay. Well, we'll see how they fare. And so, what do you think of that team comp?
It's interesting because this is something they don't use guard here, which is quite a surprise for us.
Mm-hmm.
don't have any of elves flavor here, so that's also I believe if you don't pick Harleys, there's always a place for craft rolls right now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's interesting to see a Votan here, but I see the reasoning that stands behind this army. Uh, I didn't expect Chaos Demons and Necrons here. That's for sure. But maybe this
Okay.
is also built as counters to gunlays because demons can just say, "Hey, I'm free up, shoot at me," and Necrons got some obsec, highly mobile units um, to counter gunlays.
Mm-hmm. So up next, we've got Team Netherlands, I believe. And what factions have they or are they bringing this weekend?
Okay, so it's also kind of an interesting setup here. We got from the faction list, we got Chaos Demons, we got Votan list, we got Grey Knights, Iron Hands, and Harlequins. They also decided to go with Harlequins
Mm-hmm.
here. So starting from the demons, because this is more or less the same Singe build, but swapping some chariots with pink horrors, but not there are three squads of pink horrors here, and changing Lord of Change to Be'lakor in the contrary in the contrast to the English list.
Mm-hmm.
Basically the same situation. So we got a counter to gunlines.
Yeah, pretty
We
much.
got Votan list. Votan list, which swaps a fortress for berserks, but there are actually three squads of berserks included, two fortresses, uh, three squad of pioneers, two big and one small, and still playing. It's a great tutorial league this time, but with no engineer, so just Utar here as a character.
Mm-hmm.
Um, More or less the same thing that with English vote list, but no with not as much aggressive shooting. It's
Yeah, instead.
there's quite more utility in berserks here, and the grenade launchers for stratagem use. So something different, but more or less the same playstyle.
Mm-hmm.
From an interesting list, they have Harlequins. This they go with. It seems that this is stolen from us, but uh, yeah.
They only have like 6 data sheets. You can't expect much from Harlequin.
There's at least two Harlequins player in Polish community that can argue with that. That you can make entirely different list by swapping Shuriken pistol to a narrow pistol on one of two Shadow Seers. So and we
um,
and we
yes.
can have a 4 hours podcast about it if you want to, but maybe not today.
Yeah, maybe not today. They can have it their way if they so wish.
Just give us a voice and leave me and Typhus for 3 hours, and we'll
Okay.
have an amazing content. Maybe it will not be on the topic, but at least you should know that there are at least two different kinds of Harlequins list.
Okay.
So back to the topic. Before I
Mm-hmm.
start this discussion, even without Typhus. Uh, Two Shadow Seers troops like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, if I counted properly. Two Death Jesters, two times two Skyweavers, and six boats. So standard one. New tricks are the Shadow Seer with Mirror Architect. So -6 to range for units shooting to the target with an aura, and then a Death Jester with Harvester of Torment. So basically, every 6 rolls for 2 hits counts as 3 additional. so you can make up to 12 hits with a single Death Jester, which happens very often if you play against Harlequins, and just once with the when you play Harlequins, like in my case. So because you can always swap one of the ones that you rolled to the 6,
Mm-hmm.
so easy. Um, yeah, so same situation as with our list, which probably they will try to play. It's a mobile army that plays well on secondary. It's got a quite nice output in every phase in the game, so they can. mm, if there's a good player playing this list, it's they will for sure bring some points against majority of armies.
All
Yeah.
right.
Then we got something new. So we got Grey Knights. Grey Knights, that's basically Nemesis. Red Knights are back on many here.
Mm-hmm.
So three of them, and the Grandmaster. So also have supported by interceptor squads like 10, 10, and 5. So usually it will be 5 times 5 servitor strike squad, and this is kind of a very good defender list because their secondaries I believe were upgraded, and I'm to be honest I'm not convinced on Dread Knights.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, yeah, they got teleporters and so on, but I'm not sure they got the right output right now to provide a good fire support. Because nearly every army that shoots can outshoot Nemesis Dread Knights
Mm-hmm.
nowadays. That's my opinion. Maybe that's why it's because I didn't sell Grey Knights on table for a couple of months right now, so
Yeah, they're
uh,
not very popular around
right now
here or
at
anywhere, I feel.
at least at least not here. But I heard a lot of voices that Grey Knights are actually good after the changes in Arcs of Omen, and they can play quite well as the defender list. So it will be something that we need to watch for and analyze how they play.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one is Iron Hands. Uh, they played, yeah, I call it properly. So with Iron Hands successor, Master Artisans, and yeah, Virulent of Rage.
Mm-hmm.
Two infiltrator squads, one rally contemptor with character and stuff, scout squads with dedicated land speeders. Yeah, the scout squads are very fun. Yeah, you scout sergeant with combi melta, bolt gun, bolt pistol, and thunder hammer.
Mm-hmm.
It's the model that brings a yeah, the scout sergeant with a big gun and a big thunder hammer is it's hilarious to see on the tables. Yeah, especially if you but if you want to model it properly, you need to use the Terminator thunder hammer, another option. You made a lot of jokes on that. There are three squads of Vanguard veterans here, and Vanguard veterans are quite good right now in Iron Hands
Mm-hmm.
Codex, because they can they are basically this is a gunline army, but they have close combat support and they can generate a lot of attacks. Uh, Also, they are Gladiator Reaper, one drop pod with two Devastator squads, two multi-maltas, two Graph Cannons in every squad. So basically, there's something that's
Flashbacks of Faith
uh, it's
with those devastators, at least a little bit.
yeah something. standard, I think,
Hmm.
in Arrowhand's build. We play tested that. Also, we got our opinion on that list. It's very strong list and very good against many armies, but it's kind of role dependent because you are shooting multi meltas, and it's never something that's
Yeah, I mean it's your usual 4-up situation, right? So every
yeah.
deviation from the average, you're going to just feel it very bad. Uh,
Yeah,
or your opponent is going to feel it very bad, but it will no doubt impact the game.
and also they don't have any defense, so they just die to everything in the metagame. So if they don't kill something, they are just standing in the open, and it's very hard to recover from that. So it's
Yeah, you can just check Warhammer community and how to kill Space Marines, and you're good.
yeah, I didn't saw that. So
I think they've done a couple of these articles. It's
yeah.
like bring mass autocannons and all that kind of diehard competitive tactic tips. Um,
Okay, yeah, I can make it with a last gun. So
yeah. Moving on. I think we've got Netherlands covered. Let's just go into Dice Down, and we'll probably wrap it up sooner rather than later.
okay, so dice down. Just PCP time. I love this app. At least they have a web app right now. So,
That's some
okay.
free marketing we're doing right here.
Uh, yeah, I even bought a subscription to that. So, um,
Patrick
okay.
recommends PCP. You will not.
Please cut it. Cut it.
You will not be
I'm
disappointed.
I'm
Approval
not saying.
seal of approval.
Okay, so dice down. Starting with yeah, I got lost. Keep here. I'm back on track. Starting with world eaters. Something new.
Oh,
Something. Yeah. So I think that I saw a kind of quite a lot of lists of with uh, this army,
World
but
Eaters.
they oh yeah, eaters
Uh,
of worlds, like they say in their roster.
mm,
So
did
they
they
all
differ at
look
all?
no, they're all the same, and they're like some number of berserks,
Hmm.
some number of 8 bounds, some number of exalted 8 bounds, two rhinos, chaos
And
bounds, demon
and
twins,
Lord
and low.
Avocado, as he has been dubbed on the interwebs.
Yeah, and Lord something. Okay, so but
Flying
basically,
Horse Guy.
uh, it's it's hard for me to say anything about this army because I haven't, to be honest, I haven't played. I'm in a crunch for in my work for since 2 weeks, so I
Hmm.
didn't manage to play it properly. I will have to do this in theory hammer in my plane, but I saw I saw some rules. I saw them in action on ITT's Scream. So uh, I think it's a very strong army, especially on this table, where you actually got some place to hide your close combat units and play from the ruins. Uh, Taking into the consideration that they got pre-game move, they can take control of some middleboard ruins.
Hmm.
They are not limited or 9 inch from the opponent, so they always will do their movement. And this is something that's quite strong before the game is set up, because they will set up all in ruins and they will be controlling the table. So you have the option to basically Yeah, it's very hard to get them out of the ruin because they fight on death, and it's they got fun and interactive secondaries as every army here. So
Oh yeah, big
we'll
time.
see. It's a very strong pick. I would say it's some kind of an army that I would like to play because it's a close combat and I just I like this kind of armies, but I don't have much to say about this right now. When I play against it 1 or 2 times, then it seems to be a very strong pick. That's all I can tell.
It's definitely solid in terms of consistency. Like you said, they've got secondaries that are absolutely mad, and you're guaranteed to score like at least 3 points on them, which is well good, I guess. But there's very little in terms of list building that you can do with them. Um, okay, what's the next faction that they've got?
Yeah. So Iron Hands,
Hmm.
another one.
Surprise,
Mm,
surprise.
yeah. Then they got two times Devastators. They got Eradicators in their list. Gladiator, Reaper. Still a scout with very brave scout sergeant. So having this Thunderhammer on him.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, there's 110 of Vanguard veterans, not 3 5s, but basically more or less the same approach for Iron Hands, and I think I already commented on that.
Hmm.
Uh, Next is finally we got some Astra Militarum. Uh,
At last.
yeah, so and it's interesting build because the David here doesn't go with full lemon russes. There are just 3 of them
Hmm.
here, and there's no tank commander actually. So just 3 standard lemon russes. Of course, there's Lord Solar, Ursula Creed, command squad, 4 times Cadian shock troops, so more infantry, only 2 Kasrkins, and there's a mighty hero Sly Marvel in the list. So I already love this list uh, for some reason. I don't know why. Yep. Armored Sentinels that basically are some kind of a replacement for Lemon Russes.
Hmm.
And one Scout Sentinel for some blue block. I believe that when I played guard, I needed 2, but it depends on the basically on everything because also majority of Alpha Strike armies got also some kind of midfield scout deployment, so they can block the second Scout Sentinel.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and
Okay, so a little
interesting
bit of a
because
different take. Interesting.
yeah, what makes it interesting? It's this armored sentinels because with orders you can make them uh, mini lemon russes. They got actually more wounds than lemon russ on their own. Of course, they have worse toughness and worse save, but in the end, they can also output some heavy shooting, and they can actually benefit from Lord Solar having the full rerolls on them.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if Ursula Crit also works on them. I just mm, I'll just double check that. I,
Sure, go for it. Enlighten us.
yeah, you can. So they also benefit from Urs plus under strength. So Sentinels are quite in my opinion, are very underestimated unit
Hmm.
here because but they're not. Uh, the opinion is that they're not that strong than lemon Ursus are,
Hmm.
but on the other hand, they can take orders from also from platoon, and this makes them very flexible. For example, if you get three of them blocking deep strikes within 12, it's very hard, for example, for my army to get through that. So they got their play. They're quite interesting here, and I like the idea. I'd probably take some different approach for taking one tank commander because now it's kind of dependent on Chimera to get the point for having all vehicles within command range. Also, or maybe I would take a commander just for having gatekeeper. I mean the relic battle cannon. That it's it's still a good list.
Hmm.
Mm,
As all guard lists are.
it's quite hard to make a bad card list, I think.
Great.
I mean,
Great to hear that.
maybe if you take like 30 Ogrins,
Okay,
maybe,
yeah. So, I
maybe
mean,
because
if you try, it's possible.
Uh, but you really have to try. So, or you can, no, the horses can actually beat something. You can put three death strikes and three basilisks, for example.
Okay.
This would be interesting. Yeah, yeah. Okay, you can make a battle bet guard list. For, uh, and also David here is his first guild player, so it will be interesting to see this army. Uh, then we got Drukari built back from the grave, I think.
Yes. I would not have put that better. A very surprising choice to take Drukari.
Yeah, so build is basically yeah, we got Drazar, Archon, Incubites, Vrax, Cavalite Warriors, River Jet Bikes, three and two Chronoses, and a Tantalus, and two Raiders. Also, yeah, Succubus, more River Jet Bikes, Venoms, some witches. So uh, something that I expected to see a year ago, I believe.
Hmm.
Yeah, but it's very interesting because we still remember Drukari was very good army and really oppressive what they did on the table. Uh, so I think it's a very interesting choice. Um,
I agree,
but
because I can't quite see what they're playing into. Their secondary game isn't that great. I mean, the faction ones are really lackluster. But oh, we'll see.
yeah, we'll see because still data sheets are very good. So maybe they got some play. I never underestimate armies. At least I try to not underestimate.
Yeah, no, of course. Neither would
Uh,
I.
because the build seems okay. For example, they can probably they can play very good on behind an alliance here, and because yeah, River Jetbikes got um, are just built for that.
Hmm.
Uh, I wonder if this list or like 150 frags is better, but uh,
Oh no,
well,
I don't know. I mean, I don't feel as if either of them have really good. play in the meta currently, but racks with the nerf, I think you're not getting the critical mass, having
Yeah,
20 less of them after the point bump.
yeah, that's the problem with Rex, I believe. But I still see some play with that, but it's not as good as it used to be. Uh, let's see how Jukari performs, and we'll see after the event, basically. Uh, the last one here is Craft World mix. Yeah, yeah, we got Craft Worlds with Harlequins. So some stuff, yeah, expert crafters and masterful shots, some shooting. Uh, Basically good stuff from craft rolls. We got Baharot, One Farseer, Dire Avengers, Scorpions, Warlocks, Shroud Runners, which are very now they're like 30 points per model. They are really good. Uh, there are some support weapons, so D cannons, Night Spinner, and then Twilight support detachment for Harlequins with Shadow Seer, with three troops, two transports, and Death Jester with Harvester of Torment. Uh, so, as a Harley's player, I think that the list is missing this Troop Master,
Hmm.
which can try to go on, because you can't take relics in this allied patrol detachment,
Hmm. Hmm.
so you are limited to oral trades. But I believe that even without the relic, Troop Master is okay. Uh, Especially that can he can just be anywhere on the board. It's very. I think that I'm missing this kind of unit in this setup. But on the other hand, I think the list is very good. I think the mix of Craftfuls and Harlequins are the way to go with the elves right now. Uh, but we'll also see how it performs.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm definitely curious to see how those guys do and how you guys do. So you're going to the ITT. Best of luck on that. But how are the team preparations coming along? Have you got any other plans in the near future for a team? I think there's a tournament in Netherlands next month.
Yeah, so we got like planned in every month we got something. In upcoming months, we are starting to go to international events. We are starting with this a season of preparation for the WTC when we are getting more or less serious. So we are coming for ITT. We are coming to Netherlands tournament like we did last year. Then there is an Alpine Cup. May we are thinking of having going somewhere, but probably I'll just take a break before the edition, the 10th edition arrive. In June, there will be a tournament in Poland, team tournament. Then July will be a direct season of preparations and uh,
Closed
and
doors.
testing, play testing, and doing all of the yeah stuff that will it will be a nightmare after 10th edition come, and given that we'll have like a couple of weeks, uh, I'm really scared of this moment in my life. We'll need,
I'm sure you managed just fine, and
yeah,
we're all
and we are still talking about the hobby, so
yes. Yes, exactly. It's a
Uh,
hobby. Not a second job, isn't it?
yeah, I try to say it every day when I wake up and before I get to sleep.
Well, I for one admire the dedication, so I hope bears fruit accordingly, and you get some success that you can be proud of. Anyway, I think we've covered all of the topics more or less for today, but we've been blabbering on for quite long. So let's just cut it here, and if there's anything else we might want to cover, we can reconvene after the ITT, hopefully. Hopefully in good moods.
Yeah.
Uh,
The mood will be always good. So just
I'll take
the
your
question
word
is
for it. How good?
how many explanations I will need to prepare. So
How many excuses? Hopefully none. Okay, Patrick, thanks very much for coming in. A pleasure as well as always to talk with you about 40K. And like I said, best of luck at the weekend, and hopefully we can catch up again another time.
thanks a lot. See you next time.
Thanks, and to our listeners, thanks for getting through this episode with us. We had some technical difficulties along the way, but hopefully we have managed to edit this episode in a way that you did not notice them. If you like what we do, please like, subscribe, share, and hit the bell button on YouTube and whatever else social media offers in terms of following us, because it helps us grow and we kind of really need it to keep going. That was Contact Lost, and I was Joker. Thanks for joining in, and until next time, bye bye.
Bye.